What is up, guys? Robert Rulesy Review here, and today, will Nintendo go live at E3 2014? Well, first off, you guys will probably notice that you're seeing footage of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. I finally, of course, have that beautiful, gorgeous game in my hands, and it's been fantastic. I've been playing through it like crazy, so I'm going to show a little bit of the game footage today. I'm also working towards a video review, so sometime after the weekend, I'm actually going to get that posted. It will, of course, also be showing up on Free for Geeks, the website that I was talking about just yesterday, announcing the new partnership, how I'm going to be working with those guys and they with me going forward. So that's going to be really exciting. But for the duration of this video, hopefully you guys enjoy watching some more footage of Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze. Okay, so on to the good stuff. Today, of course, I am talking about Nintendo, as I had mentioned in my intro. It's not news-related stuff. However, this was inspired, as per usual, by something that I saw on IGN. If you were to go to IGN today, and I'm going to go ahead and link this below as normal, you will notice that the Nintendo Voice Chat podcast, which is the IGN Nintendo podcast, recently put up about a 15-minute video from their last recording session where they discuss the possibility of what Nintendo will do at E3 this year, 2014. It's only the last week of February. Of course, E3 doesn't happen until June, so we're many, many months away. But at the same time, even when you're many months away from E3, it still oddly feels like it's right around the corner. And it's just so easy to start getting excited and start to feel the buzz in the air about what could be happening. E3 is coming, new announcements. We've finally got all three next-generation consoles on the market now. Last E3, that was not the case. So this is going to be the first E3 of this full, complete generation. What I guess people want to call the 8th generation, because for some reason, the last generation, everyone referred to it as the 7th gen. According to my math, that is just not how numbers work. I do not know where people get that term. However, I'm just coining it to you because I know that it's a term people use. But whatever. This is the new generation that we're finally in. PlayStation 4, Wii U, Xbox One, all three on the market doing their thing, and it's going to be a really exciting year for E3. So when we think about Nintendo at E3, of course, last year was an unprecedented moment where Nintendo decided to not have a live on-stage press conference in front of course, the press. They opted to do a very E3-specific Nintendo Direct, which was very controversial, kind of exciting, kind of disappointing all at the same time. It was a little bit tough to kind of determine maybe what we all felt about it going into it, as well as after it had actually happened. My personal thoughts as a huge Nintendo fan at the end of the day, once it was over, I definitely have to say that overall I enjoyed the Direct in the sense that the content was really, really good. What's lacking, however, in doing that is, of course, the glitz and the glam and the excitement, of that stage conference. And when you're in front of a whole group of people and everyone gets excited and you have these reveals that no one saw coming, and when you are watching a live news feed from home and everyone is in the room clapping and going nuts, and you and your friends are at home doing the same thing, that's a great moment to share. It's almost as if you're there, inside of the Staples Center, inside of the convention center, watching it with a bunch of people getting excited. With the Nintendo Direct for E3 last year, it definitely lost that. It lacked that 100%. I mean, it was just Iwata doing his normal Nintendo Direct thing, saying, please look at this, please look at this, please look at this. And it was great stuff they showed us. And at the end of the day, that does matter the most. However, E3 is a unique beast in the sense that we still kind of want the hype and that glam and the buzz that comes with those stage shows. So getting back to what IGN had done, they had a fantastic conversation with Jose Otero, who now runs their Nintendo team, Per Schneider, who's, I don't know his exact position, but he's basically the boss of all of IGN as far as I can tell. And Brian Altano, one of my favorite personalities, and just some other guy who I'm really sorry, buddy, I do not remember your name or know really who you are. But they were having a really good conversation. They brought up a ton of good points on both sides on if Nintendo would or would not have a live conference and whether or not they should. It's really kind of two conversations when you really look at it. Some fantastic points were brought up. One of the things that sticks out in my mind is something that Brian Altano had brought up on this exact conversation, where apparently, and now I was not aware of this, but he mentioned that I think the day before they had recorded, so sometime in the last week probably, there was an interview with Cliff Bleszinski, and Cliff Bleszinski made a comment in this interview, and I'm just not sure who it was with or where it's at, so I'm really sorry, but apparently it happened. I'll see if I can research and find it for you guys. But apparently he had said something to the effect of, trying to fight for the cover of Game Informer and be the one revealing the big game, with this huge glamorous stage presentation at E3 and paying all this money to get all these things done. is kind of going away. That is not the way the video game industry is trending towards. It's not the kind of things that a lot of companies need to waste a lot of time, money, and manpower producing because it's not necessary. You know, a lot of this aided by the fact that social media and digital content and stuff is so prominent nowadays. A lot of the things that I've lamented on previous videos, you know, and even on my last video too. However, it's still true. Whether or not I or you agree with it, it's definitely a true thing. Excuse me. So basically, you know, the concept that he was saying, and Cliff is a smart man. Whether or not you like him is one thing. I do like the guy, but like I said, you know, your opinion of him aside, he is an intelligent man. He knows this industry like the back of his hand, and he's been immensely successful at it, and he's a very talented developer. He knows what he's talking about. So he's at least somebody to, whether or not you agree with him, to at least listen to and consider what it is he's getting at. And I sadly have to agree with a lot of what he's saying, but at the same time, it does at least aid in the idea of Nintendo maybe not doing another live conference. And so, you know, I guess the thing is whether or not I would want them to do a conference, and I would have to say yes, absolutely. But here's where you get into the stickiness of the E3 conversation. Is I am still a fan, even though I do this show, and I have actually attended E3 as well. I attended E3 in 2004, and it was fucking awesome. But it was a very different show back then than it is nowadays, the way I understand it. You know, however. Yes, I have this internet show where I talk to you guys and I report on news and do reviews and started doing Let's Plays and stuff. I'm not in the industry. I'm a fan. I'm a gamer just like you are, and I live at my home in Denver, and I follow the industry and I play the games I love, and I hang out with my buddies talking about them and discussing them and playing through them and you know, watching E3 every year and all that good stuff as a group. So as a fan, that means that I, of course, like the stage conferences. I like the hype and the spectacle of those shows and what can happen at E3. I've been following it for, you know, pretty much almost ever since it had first started 15 some odd years ago, you know, and really following it seriously the last 10 or 12 years. So I've seen Nintendo and, you know, Sony and Sega back when they were doing it and all sorts of things, you know, be really involved with this stuff. And I've seen and experienced a lot of the best moments that E3 has ever brought to us. And through that, my fanship and my love of the hobby and craft that is gaming appreciates everything that E3 has the potential to do. And Nintendo is my favorite company, so of course I want them to continue to be a part of it. They are a staple of E3. I mean, they have helped make E3 what it is, and they own some of the most memorable moments of the entire history of the show. That's a big deal. They deserve to have as much respect at that show as possible and all the time as they need. That's why they usually get their own day dedicated just to their show. Sony and Microsoft tend to do their shows together on the same day. Nintendo gets their own day. And I think that that's kind of because they've been around longer than anyone doing it. And I think that's really, really cool. So as a fan, I want them to do it. Now, what comes into question is the business decision, of course. A lot of the conversation people have, and this was also on the Nintendo voice chat discussion as well, and I don't agree with this, but I certainly see the point, and you may agree with it. They mentioned that, you know, like last year, because Sony and Microsoft were going head-to-head releasing brand new consoles, whereas Nintendo's was already out, they obviously had less content and exciting things to show, so that's one of the reasons they let those two guys have the big stage and duke it out head-to-head. Nintendo took their own little side thing and just did their thing to stay away from that, the war fallout of last year's conferences, and that I can sort of understand. Now, some people think that should or maybe will continue this year, and that if they decide to do an E3 Direct, a lot of the decision will be based on the fact that they don't want to go up against Sony and Microsoft again and all this good stuff. Like, they're that fucking intimidating and blah, blah, blah. Well, with the consoles coming out last year, sure, I guess I can get that. I totally buy it. It makes sense. I'm glad it played out the way it did. That's fine. This year, what the hell would they have to be afraid of? You know, they have and will have things to show. And I think that their content typically is way better than what the other guys have to show. And I am a Sony and Microsoft fan, so I'm not saying that from, trying to slam those guys, because I love them and I'm excited to own their respective systems as well. But there's a reason I'm a Nintendo fan. It's because their products and software speak to me far more than the other guys. So I think that if they have the right things to show, they could easily have the best conference, if not one that's worthy of going up against the other two. At this point, those guys' consoles are out. whatever. They're just going to show some more games for their consoles. Like, cool, awesome. I'm excited to see what they're going to show too. But I don't think it's anything that Nintendo needs to be afraid of and cower in the corner and just, we don't want to take the stage against those guys. That's fucking stupid. Like, Nintendo makes better stuff than they do. Like, that's just the way it is. If you don't believe me, look at review scores. Sales, maybe not. I totally get that. But look at review scores and look at the way people who are fans, clamor towards Nintendo's products. It's not like blind love. Okay, sometimes it is. But most of the time it's not. It's because their software really is that good. May not speak to everybody, but no software speaks to everybody, excuse me. And Nintendo's typically is better. That's just the way it is, And I'm proud to say that. And it's one of the things that has kept me a Nintendo fan, even through the bullshit that they've done over the years. That's why I still love them. It's not the other way around. So I don't think that if they decided not to do it, it's going to be because they're intimidated by Sony and Microsoft, because they're just two other companies in the industry doing the same thing, like big freaking deal. I do, however, think that the business decision is part of it. Nintendo, despite the fact that they're filthy stinking rich, the fact that the Wii U has not been doing really well until really, really recently means that they've kind of been losing a lot of money. They reported their first loss in a long time last year, which is really too bad. And it's because the Wii U wasn't doing so well for so long, and that just sucks because it's such a great system. As evidenced by the fact that you're watching footage of a fantastic game that just released, exclusively on the platform. And it's got some of the best reviews of the year. Like, that's good news. That's proof of that. So I despite the fact that they're rich, they're still very conservative. In the last couple of years, mostly with the last two generations, they seemed really kind of apprehensive to invest a lot and spend a lot to try to make a lot down the road. Where Sony and Microsoft is doing well as a company overall. The Xbox division is not doing that well, but overall Microsoft is. Sony is the opposite, where the video game and PlayStation division is doing fantastically. PS4 is selling like hotcakes, which is awesome. But Sony as a company is struggling big time, and they're laying off people, and their film division and their consumer electronics division is just sinking, man. It's just not doing well, which sucks because I like Sony, And so, but those two companies, despite their different varying levels of success, and in some cases failure, they each have their own levels of failure happening in their company. They are willing to spend a lot of money and do a lot of hype and buzz to try to make their products sell and become successful long term. Sony is a shining example of that. As I've said many times, there is nothing exciting happening on the PlayStation 4 right now or in the near future that we know about. It is a not exciting system when you actually take a step back and look at it. However, it's breaking records with how it's selling. It's brilliant. They had marketing and an E3 press conference to further prove this point last year that was so perfectly executed, it drove the sales of a system that has nothing going for it right now. And don't call me a hater. I know it will be great down the road. It's going to have that stuff eventually. I firmly believe in the system. Right now, there's zip, not a bullshit zero happening for the system. Infamous comes out next month, which will be awesome. So other than that one game, there's nothing happening. However, they've done an amazing job selling that system to the consumer. And hell yeah, bravo Sony. You guys rock. You did it right. You did what I want Nintendo to do. That kind of shows the power of the E3 press conference as well. Nintendo, because they don't like spending that kind of money, I can see them, if they opt out of a live press conference again this year, it's probably going to be because of the money, because it's much cheaper for them to produce hopefully a well-executed direct for E3 or even a couple directs than it is to put on a big stage show. And as much as I would still be disappointed if that happened, I would respect and understand that decision far more than, being afraid of Sony and Microsoft and whatever that stupid bullshit conversation is. I totally don't believe in that. I think that they would probably not do it specifically to save money. I, however, hope that is not the case. I think that there is a very, very large possibility. I think it's more than likely they are going to come back with a conference. Now that Sony and Microsoft got their consoles out, it kind of makes sense. Nintendo stepped back at the time to let them do their thing. The Wii U is picking up steam. Like, people don't talk about that enough because it's still not doing gangbuster numbers, but it's doing all right now, so people can calm down a little bit. A lot of software is coming. A bunch of great software just came out over the last few months in holiday. Donkey Kong just fucking came out and it's getting stellar, amazing reviews, just like all of their software does. The Wii U is picking up, and so that is going to help. They don't need to be afraid of those other two systems at this point. They just need to. What I want to see them do is have confidence in their product and conviction in their message and what it is they're trying to do with their product, and just move forward and take the stage and be like, bam, bitches, this is what we got, Show us some of these things we know about. Show us some new Smash Brothers stuff, some cool stage demos. Give us some more Bayonetta and X, give us release dates for those games, and then show us a few new things. I'm sure something is happening with Metroid. Zelda, the new Zelda console game, the Wii U Zelda has all but been confirmed to be there in some fashion. So show us that, man. Blow our minds again. That's always the biggest thing you can do, is give us a kick-ass Zelda reveal, as well as whatever Miyamoto's new IP is. We know that they're working on some brand new stuff. If they show us a couple surprises and then some good information for some games we already know that are coming that people are already excited about, dude, they'll knock it out of the park. They will have a great show and they will do wonderful things for themselves. And so the last part of this conversation really is the broader topic of what E3 means, and if this press conferences really do matter the way we want to think they do. So earlier in the conversation, I was mentioning how I myself want them to do. I like press conferences because I'm a fan, because I'm a gamer who watches from afar, experiencing it and listening to the messages of all these companies and trying to let them make me excited. They're all fighting for my dollar. That's a powerful thing. They're fighting for your dollar. I mean, we are the ones in control. As the people sitting at home on our computers and our consoles and our phones, checking the live blog updates and watching these conferences and all this information for the week of E3 go down, we are the ones in control. Don't let them fool you. That is an amazing thing. We have so much power, and it only benefits us, because they're all trying to say, look at our cool shit. Now go buy it when it comes out. And we are like, yes, please. Like, we will happily do that if you show us the things we want to see, that we know we want to play. It's a great moment, and it exemplifies everything that makes this industry and this hobby great, and why we are probably all passionate about it. And so when you think about what E3 actually means, some people say, and even though I don't really agree with this, they're not wrong either. Some people say that it is something that is mattering less and less nowadays, especially when you look at how, all three, Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft, all took a day to themselves not too long before releasing their consoles to talk about it and show it to the press and live stream it and show it to everybody. This is what it's going to do. This is some announcements. Here's some software. Here's the basic premise, blah, blah, blah. And they did that stuff, People forget Nintendo actually did it a few months before the Wii U came out, which is where they announced the price and the release date. But that was now a year and a half before Sony and Microsoft did it, so I think people kind of had forgotten about it. But that was great. They actually had a great show that day. I thought it was wonderful. So those moments have helped maybe dilute the necessity for E3 in a lot of people's eyes. And the fact that it is so expensive for companies, and does the messaging get lost because there's so much other shit going on, and there's laser beams, and there's fancy lights, and there's celebrities, and there's hot chicks dancing, and there's just all this bullshit happening at E3, which I actually think most of that stuff is cool, I'm not gonna lie, but it does distract from the purpose. I totally get that, So some people will say it doesn't matter, in which case, continue on with the Nintendo Directs. Maybe they're slowly going to become the future of how people need to do this moving forward, which could or could not be the case. I don't overall agree with that, and this may be the gamer in me, but this is also somebody who has been following the industry for so long, and I know it inside and out, just like I'm sure a lot of you guys do too. It does matter. I think that when you look at, I brought it up earlier, the Sony press conference was a massive example. Sony is seeing unprecedented success in the video game space and in the hardware market with the PlayStation 4 right now. And a gigantic proportion of its success is owed to their press conference at E3 2013. Abso-fucking-lutely. I put so much money on that statement. They did an amazing thing. They had all the right kind of buzz. They had all the right strategic moves. They were placed very luckily behind Microsoft. And I know I've heard some things. They adjusted a few pieces of information after seeing Microsoft press conference to further bolster how they were going to get their message across for theirs just a few hours later. That's fine. That's the way the game is played, I guess. I can only commend them. They made the right moves. They said the right things. They gave people what they wanted to hear, and all at a price that people didn't expect. I mean, they fucking nailed it. And they have now reaped the rewards. Whatever money they spent to do that, they have made back tenfold because of how well the PlayStation 4 is selling, And so on top of the excitement and the way it actually connects to the gamer, it has that potential to become a massive revenue generator. And Nintendo has seen the same success with their stuff in the past as well. The legendary Twilight Princess reveal, when Other M was revealed and people lost their minds over those games and those moments and everyone gets excited. They've had really successful third-party reveals, stuff about the 3DS in the past. I mean, they've owned some of those moments and made a lot of money from theirs as well. And so I don't want people to forget that that is why that stuff is there. Not to mention, when you think about Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft's individual reveals before their systems came out, those were to the broader public, you know, like Time Magazine and Life and shit like that. You know, I mean, stuff that matters for sure. They're speaking outside the gaming demographic. So when you think about E3, it's so specific to the industry, which includes the developers and the console manufacturers themselves, the gamers and the consumers, which is us, and the developers, the other people who make games in the industry. This was also brought up on the NVC video. The other game developers and people in the industry who do the same thing that they do. And those people are there, and as was brought up on the IGN video, not only are they there to show off their game and try to get people excited, but they also maybe can get inspired by what they see other people do. And I think that also Brian Altano brought this up in that video where he said, what you'll see is, you know, the Call of Duty guys will go there to show off their new Call of Duty, but then they're going to go watch a Mario demo or, you know, like an Order 1886 demo or what have you, anything, a Titanfall even, you know, and go watch that stuff and go play it. Wait in line to play it themselves, and they'll check it out and they'll say, wow, this is good or bad. I see what the competition is doing. I see what else is out there. Oh, I see how they made these decisions in making this game, and it made their game really good. This is stuff for me to take notes on to make my stuff, you know? So they're selling ideas and creativity to their other peers in the industry. And that is also a very powerful thing, and it's a wonderful benefit that we have from having E3 happen every year. So, you know, my final opinion, I'll now bring this around in summary. My videos are always so long, you guys. For anyone who watches them all, you kick ass for watching all my videos to the end. You know, so in summary, I think that, yes, E3 matters. The way it is now matters. I don't really want it to change. And if it will change, I think it's going to be a few more years. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. And I do think that Nintendo is probably going to come back at the stage show. Maybe not guaranteed, but I think that they're going to, and I know that I certainly want them to. I want to have all three of my boys up there doing their thing. Sony, Microsoft, Nintendo, everyone get up there, do their thing, man. Show us all what it is you're doing, you know. You're all probably making a bunch of really exciting things. Your new consoles are on the market. Help get us excited and, you know, give us good games to play. That's all we want. You give us good games, we give you money. It's a fantastic organization. You know, that's exactly how everyone wants it, you know. So keep doing those great things, make E3 awesome, and we will love and respect you forever. Alrighty guys, that's it for Nintendo and E3 news for this year and for this video. So hopefully you enjoyed everything I had to say and have some of your own thoughts you want to share below. As always, if you like what I'm doing, you can feel free to subscribe, like, and share the video. And of course, share your comments and your thoughts below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I will catch you next time.